So an opportunity to have a word with some of the drivers in the modified Ford series. They've been with us at the BRSCC for quite a few meetings this year. Last time I had the pleasure of seeing them was Cadwell Park. I'm going to grab a word with this guy here. This is a Mark 1 Escort, and Andy Pipe, who's turned his back on me. Here we go, let's go and have a quick word. Andy? So the story here is that many years ago I was doing pit lane interview or something, and we didn't get an interview with you, Andy, but I said if I could today I'd get my own back, and here we are. So fair way up the grid with your lovely looking Mark 1 Escort.
Yeah, I know, see the blood coming out my nose, I'm getting a nosebleed.
It's going well though. I think since whatever happened all those years ago, this had a full rebuild, hasn't it?
Yeah, I totaled the car, took all four corners off back in 2016, and we decided that time was to build it how we wanted to build it.
Right.
So, this car you see now.
Is that an expensive exercise given the spares for these cars? I mean, legend has it that you can pick up new shells here and there, but things can be a bit of a premium.
If my wife's watching, no. if she isn't watching, it ain't too bad. You can get every panel for these cars now. You can even buy complete shells for them.
Yeah.
So, but we didn't. We went down the repanel route. I wanted it back yellow, but Ray from Unique Classics, Ray and Chad, they decided to paint it black, like I wanted it 30 odd years ago.
It was white originally, wasn't it?
No, it was yellow.
Was it yellow?
Yeah.
So my memory's gone. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Tell us about the engineering and the mechanicals of it, and how it compares to, say, an original late 60s, early 70s road car.
A 2.3 Pinto in it, built by Graham Bard from Penguin Motors. It's dry sumped, it's fuel ejected, it's got a 7-speed sequential gearbox behind it. We've got front and rear adjustable anti-roll bars done by Adrian at Horse Courts, and apart from that it's basic escort stuff.
And do you just run with this series, or do you run in other championships as well?
I just run with these. When Paul started out, he phoned me up because I used to, as you know, I used to race in the QMN, and they was getting 2 more modern cars out, and then Paul Neville phoned me and said, do you fancy coming out and doing this? I said, why not? As you can see, they're a lovely bunch of cars.
We had to split you into thirds so that we can facilitate 3 races, which is superb.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know what to say about that. The racing's just so good. It's clean, and we all have a good laugh.
You never say that before a race, because that tends to put a curse on it.
Yeah. But the thing is, because this is a series, there's no points to race for, so we're all out here for fun. There's no championships, so we're all out having a good time, a good laugh, and hopefully we'll meet in a bar later.
Did you race before you had this car?
No, I've actually had this car 30 years. It's been my one and only race car.
Served you well then?
Yeah. It's in better nick than me, and it's older than me.
And I take it the newer contemporary stuff wouldn't actually last that long, or you probably wouldn't want to keep one of the newer cars that long.
To be honest, I'm not interested in the newer contemporary stuff. It's like you got like Neil on pole, he's got the Duratec in it, but I've got the engine that the car came with originally, so that's the way I want to keep it.
Excellent. Andy, thanks for talking to us. Finally caught up.
Cheers, mate.
Juggle everything to give you a handshake. Good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Let's have a word with our pole position man, if we can, which is Neil Jessup, who's on pole. So, Jeremy, I've got to drag you this way if we get a signal, and we'll go across. Neil Jessup's in the 83, which, as you can see, is the Mark II. Now, this could be interesting because we've got a little gap in the... All right, Neil? You all right to have a quick word? So, cameraman's behind you. I was just going to say, tell us a little bit about this car. Obviously going well because you're pole position. Yep. And did we see you at Cadwell? I can't remember.
No, I didn't do Cadwell. It was a bit too far of a trek. I'm right on the south coast, so...
All right, whereabouts are you?
Eastbourne.
Okay, very good too, yeah. And so this is the advantage of this series. You can pick and choose which rounds you want to do.
Yeah, it'd be nice to do all of them. Obviously, more travelling is more budget. I run on quite a tight budget, so I have to pick and choose the meetings that I'm able to do.
The car, very clearly your pride and joy. It is absolutely immaculate. I mean, I've always been a big fan of particularly the Mark 1s and Mark 2s. Tell us about the history of this car.
So I bought it as a bare shell, literally. We lifted it onto the trailer and I built it up from there. I had a lot of ideas in my head that I wanted to, from other sorts of racing that I'd done, that I wanted to put into this car, and this is how it's come out.
And being a series, you've not got to focus on getting into a championship position or worrying about points or anything else. Come out, enjoy yourself when you're able to, when you want to, and when you can afford it.
Exactly that, yeah. It's a good, relaxed series. Like you said, you can pick and choose your meetings. You know, I've done series before where it's all closely competitive. no one will even show you under their bonnet, you know. This is a lot more relaxed. They're a friendly bunch, and everyone will help everyone out if they can.
So everything you put in it, tell us about the tech and the engine and the output, if you can.
It's very simple. I'm not the most techie person.
Okay.
I'm more of a hands-on sort of person, so I tried to keep it as simple as possible. It's a 2-litre Duratec, so that puts me in Class B.
Yeah.
It was built by Julian Godfrey originally. Makes reasonable power, but the main advantage of this car is it's lightweight. It's a little bit lighter than most on the grid.
It's a terrific looking car. And what made you pick the colours?
So I've always been a fan of the Zack Speed sort of mark back in the day, and this is I tend to call it a tribute rather than a replica, because it's all modern spec.
Yeah.
It's not a period spec car. Back in the day, the Zack Speed Mark II was the ultimate escort, I think. So I've just tried to recreate a bit of that.
I see you've got the onboard cameras in there. I won't mention the brand names, but so do you watch back just to see on your technique and everything else?
Yeah, obviously it's entertaining, but it's more of a tool to try and see all my mistakes and try and improve my driving over time.
Neil, great chatting to us. Thanks. Beautiful car. Congratulations to you on pole position, and we'll hopefully see you on the podium. Neil Jessup there. Let's have a quick word. I'm going to have a quick word with Rob Buddy because I didn't get a chat with Rob last week at Cadwell. You all right for a quick word, Rob? And thank you very much. Just whiz over here. And short-lived, very, very sadly, last weekend at Cadwell, but we get a little chat with you now. I'm pleased to see you. How are you today?
I'm fine. I think we were at Snetterton. I don't think I was at Cadwell.
Beg your pardon, Snetterton. I was thinking Cadwell was the last time that I saw the modified Ford series rather than the classic and modern.
That's all right. Yes, yeah. Yeah, not feeling too bad. Yeah, a bit expensive. Found a hole on the outside of Wilson's hairpin. Feel even worse today because apparently a couple of the other races were told about it, but our race wasn't. But, you know, these things happen, so spend the money and get on with it.
Many modified Ford meetings for you this year?
No, this is only the second one. We've had a bit of a not so good year this year. I've had a few issues getting parts for the car, parts for the engine. We did the first one here back in April. We missed Ford Power Live just by a couple of days, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, here today to support Paul Neville. You know, he's working very hard at making the series work, and it's a credit to him. Yes, it really is.
It's wonderful to see, isn't it? The array of cars that we've got, huge entry that he's delivered with, and just no pressure really for you, is there, to come out and just race in series?
That's right, yeah. I was probably one of the few that was hoping it was going to stay damp this morning, but it dried out rather quickly. I think it's going to be wet tomorrow, but I think we should get a dry race now. Yeah, the car's a little bit too heavy for what we're up against, but it's a bit of fun. You know, we come out and they put on a good show. There's a lot of cars here, and it's a great series to do a bit of fun with. Yeah.
Spotted the car for sale a while ago. Was that right, or that's a bit of a shock?
Yes, it would be sad if it does go. There's been a bit of interest. A few people have inquired. Nothing happens until any money changes hands, which is always the stumbling block. Yeah, if it goes, it goes. If not, we're going to use the BMW probably more next year. Again, we've had a lot of problems this year with getting parts for it, but it's almost there now. The engine's in, the gearbox is back in, new exhaust has been done. So yeah, we should be out with that next year, and yeah, do a few more meetings. It's been not a very good year this year, but I think a lot of people have struggled this year, mainly with parts and stuff. Yeah.
Wouldn't be the same coming to Brands Hatch and seeing a saloon car race without you in it, Rod. So been always good to see you. Thanks for the chat and good luck for the race.
That's all right. You're always welcome. Thank you.
Rob Burley there, who is absolute legend for saloon car race. Always here, always comes out. Usually up towards the sharp end, as you can see today. I think we might have the opportunity to go back to Scott for a minute, and I'll pick a few more people, if not to have a chat to down here in the holding area.
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard. Back to tin tops and back to more Ford action, this time of the saloon car variety and hot hatch, as we have our first of 3 races this weekend, making their debut this weekend at the Formula Ford Festival, for the first time attending it, of the Formula Modified Ford Series. For this is Groups A and B, given such the size of the grid. It's Neil Jessup and his Mark II Zaxby Escort that Richard was talking to earlier. He's alongside James Allen in his ex-Time Attack Ford Focus RS. Then Rob Burley in the Escort Cosworth WRC, looking for another win around Brands Hatch, alongside Kester Cook in the Fiesta ST150. Then we have Lloyd Jameson in the Escort Cosworth and Andy Pipe in his Escort Mark I. Row 4 should be Rory Jose in his pink Focus and Chris Baker in his Escort Mark III. Harry Harley in the Puma and former Ford long-term racer Will Arif, who's in a Fiesta ST150. He starts in P10. David Guthrie in a Fiesta, Gary Johnson in an Escort Mark I, and then it's Adam Underhill and Mike Thurley on the 7th row of the grid, followed by Nigel Craig and Lewis Clark on the 8th row in Escort and ST150. Then we get to row 9, which is Steve Cripps and Escort Mark II, Tim Sandu in his Fiesta ST150, and then following that it's then row 10 for Alex Sprague, more Fiesta Junior racer. Good to see him back this weekend in a BRSCC paddock. He's alongside Rob Lewis in his Focus ST150. You'll know him from presenting the C1 pit lane coverage even just last week at Snetterton. Jason Stone in a Fiesta ST150, Kevin Hatfield in his Ford Puma. And then we have Dan Cowan and John Turner on the 12th row of the grid, followed by Tom Murphy and Gary Littlewood on the 13th row. But it's Mike Greenfield and Jimmy Neophytou in his unique little Escort Mark I, followed by AJ Howe in another unique car. That is the Ford Focus Estate. Now, that wasn't me stumbling. I did say Ford Focus Estate. That's an ex-Time Attack car as well. He starts back in 29th on the grid. He's alongside Malcolm Wise, who starts in a Sapphire Cosworth. And right at the back of the grid in car 112, Robert Tinto, who will be rounding off the 31-car grid here for the Modified Fords in his Ford Puma. So, Modified Ford Series then joined the BRSCC back in last year, and ever since then they've been entertaining with some superbly variety grids. If you're a Ford fan, stick around because you're going to enjoy this one. It's going to be a busy track with 31 cars out. It's a rolling start, and there are cars of all shapes and sizes. The ruling is that you have to have a car from 2011 or older, and use all sorts. You've got all sorts of generations of Escorts, be they Mark 1s, Mark 2s, Escort Cosworths, you've got Sierras in the field, you've also got Focuses, Pumas, there's even been cars like Capris and Mustangs, even an RS200 has turned up in the past as well. It really is a wonderful series. And look at this, 3 or 4 superb cars at the front. An Escort Mark II Zaxby, a pumped up Focus RS X Time Attack car, Rob Burley's Evergreen Ford Escort Cosworth, and Kester Cook's Rapid Escort Fiesta ST150. But there are other great cars that you'll see throughout the weekend. This is the first of 3 races for them. And it's groups A and B that get to go first. Each group will race each other once. You'll get groups B and C and A and C, but that comes tomorrow. First of all, groups A and B for the fantastically varied Modified Ford Series explodes into life here at Brands Hatch. Race 1 is underway for 15 minutes. They charge down towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, but immediately it's Neil Jessup who takes the lead. It's Rob Burley from the 2nd row up into P2 in his Escort Cosworth WRC, and 3rd for James Allen in the Focus, 4th for Kester Cook, and 5th there for Andy Pipe in the Mark 1 Escort, the black car with the white stripe down the side. There he goes. Lloyd Jameson is in the Escort Cosworth. His is an ex-Group A tarmac rally car. Has come all the way from Scotland in the series. He loves competing in the Modified Fords. He's back again, making a big trip from across the border. Through the right-hander they go. Plenty of ST150s and Escorts all involved, but it's Neil Jessup's 2-litre engine Mark II Escort Zaxby that turns its way out through Surtees, up through Clearways, McLaren and Clark Curve. Round through it, slide there for Kester Cook in his front-wheel drive car. Now they turn their way out through the right-hander and down the pit straight. Look at the speed of these fantastically turbocharged machines. Jessup in the lead then, as Burley and Allen charge after him and reel him in. This is the advantage. The Jessup car will have the advantage being lighter and more nimble in the corners, but it's the sheer horsepower of the Escort Cosworth and the Focus that will certainly benefit both Burley and Allen out in front. You can hear the turbos chirping away as they turn into a left-hander. And now on the straight, there's a car struggling. That's one of the Mark III Escorts. That is 711, and that's had quite a whack in the driver's door. That's 711 was John Turner, so something's happened there. And I think he's collected one of the Pumas there, because that's struggling too. That looks like possibly 76 Kevin Hadfield's had a problem. So I think it looks like Turner and Hadfield, who were quite close together on the grid. Hadfield was ahead of him geographically on the grid by 1 place. 22nd on the grid to 24th. So they're on the same side of the grid. I think both have come together and had some kind of an issue, because the contact there possibly seems to be that one's hit the other. You can see Kevin's poor Puma just behind the timing tower has gone into the pit lane after that incident. Some more cars charging through. 96 through is Neil Craig, and he is heading up into past another one of the Escort Mark IIs, a different model of Mark II. Here's a great turbocharged battler. Look at this. Rob Burley's Escort WRC battling with a car that he seems to have met his match with, which is the James Allen Ford Focus RS. And these two nose to tail. Two very high-speed cars, but the two of them I think are, one, not as nimble as the Mark II Escort, and two, they're so preoccupied battling each other, the easier it is for Jessup to make a breakout in front. There he goes. Look at the timing screen. Across the line he goes to end lap number 3. New fastest lap of the race, 52.5 for Neil, and he's 0.7 of a second out in front. A few more cars heading through. There's Alex Sprange, former Fiesta Junior racer in his last year. Meanwhile, change for second place. Oh, is that a problem for Rob Burley? Oh, not again. I think he had the problem at Snetterton in the Classic and Modern Motorsport Club Super Saloons and Tin Tops, but if that's another problem manifesting, Andy Pipe's off the road as well. He's parked up on the exit of Surtees, right on the outside of the entrance to Clearways. I think I remember that car had quite a large smoky engine blow in Anglesey last year when they won the first races that we had with modified Fords. So Andy Pipe not having the luck here with the car. Jessup turns his way out, and certainly this short, sharp 1.2 mile circuit is definitely benefiting the nimble nature of his Escort Mark II Zac Speed. It pushes James Allen up to second place, but unsurprisingly, with a car stranded where it is for Andy Pipe at Surtees and Clearways, it is going to be a safety car deployed here in this first modified Ford Series race of the weekend. So the cars will then form up behind the RunYourFleet.com Jaguar safety car. And see there, when it gets a moment, the safety car springs into action, lights on, and it will pick up leader Neil Jessup. It will wait patiently as it crawls along the back straight. Should say a big thank you, of course. We've got our festival sponsors here this weekend, but of course our long-term partners at Run Your Fleet. We have to say a big thank you to them for another season of support, and indeed for the our continued use of the RunYourFleet.com Jaguar XF Sport Break safety car. There it is, in fine form this weekend. Maybe called upon a couple of times more than we'd like it to be, but of course it's always nice to see it out on track. And big thank you to Steve and everyone at Run Your Fleet for their continued support of BRSCC, and of course for just to use the Jaguar as our club safety car. If you want to find out more, head to runyourfleet.com. You can find out more information on there. While they're one of the leading fleet management companies for businesses, if you want to find out more. So modified Fords then, third of the way through under safety car. So Neil Jessup leads the way in the Escort Mark II. It's second place for James Allen. It's then third for, it was still saying Rob Burley, but I don't think because he come through. I'm not sure he has. It says he's come through the last lap, but his last lap was a 1:25. So, but he had a small issue, but then managed to refire it back up again. I'm not 100%, but it's showing as him crossing the line and coming through. Yeah, Rod's car still is running. I thought for a moment his car was faltering and having a problem, but he seems to have carried on. Yeah, his car's still there. You can see it just coming out of shot now, the black Escort Cosworth. So he's still there. Yeah, there he is in the background. You can see the black Escort Cosworth with a little blue and yellow striping down the middle. So he's still present. Fourth place for Kester Cook in the white, orange, green and red SBD-sponsored ST150. Fifth is Mike Thurley in his Escort Mark I Zac Speed. Lloyd Jameson in his Escort Cosworth is sick. There's a piece of bodywork that's almost rear bumper missing from one of the cars out there that's in fact managed to park itself on the grass on the exit of Druids. Seventh is the 191 car Hardy. We've got Guthrie in the Fiesta in 8th, Underhill in 9th, and the Focus ST170. And it's 117 of Clark, Jason Clark that is, rounding out the top 10. We should quickly also allude to the class leaders as Andy Pipe's Escort Mark I gets led away. So class leading at the front is the top two are also class leaders. So Neil Jessup leads Class B. Class A is being led by second place man James Allen. Then it is Class Super B, which is being led by Kester Cook in the 193 Fiesta ST150. Class B Plus is being led by Car 61, David Guthrie's Fiesta. And then we also have class leads for, I think that might, unless that's it. No, Class C is also out there as well, and that's being led by Car 75, Gary Littlewood, in his 1.6 litre Fiesta SE. So class leaders so far on this race. We're just going to tick over half distance as this safety car continues. It looks as though that Andy Pipe's car, for the most part, yes, it has been cleared, so I imagine we'll go back to a full restart this time by. And for those who might be fans of a certain Mr. Rob Lewis, if you've watched on the C1 coverage or known from his exploits covering Club Motorsport, just a quick update, he is currently sat in 25th position in the Focus ST170, and I think possibly just enjoying Brands Hatch at his own leisure, shall we say. In fact, I thought it was him there at the top of the shop, but that's the other ST170 in the Underhills. There goes Lloyd Jameson's car, and as I expected, the safety car has been told to switch off its lights, and it will now bring the field back around. So it now means that Neil Jessup is the one that controls the restart, although typically when it's a restart, you back off and build the pack up. I don't think Neil Jessup is quite going to do that. He's certainly having a go, but the modified 4-pack is quite spread out here, so it's possibly going to be quite a simple enough restart, at least for Neil Jessup. He's got to remember, he's got the very powerful Focus behind him, as they get back underway once more under green flags. And they really did go right up to the line there, and a big jump there for Mike Thurley there in the Escort Mark 1, trying to catch both Kester Cook and Rob Burley on their toes, but thankfully their improved power is better. As to the lead goes James Allen, I kind of expected that to happen given the horsepower advantage on the straight. So James Allen then in the Ford Focus RS takes the lead from the Neil Jessup Mark II Escort Zach Speed. Spit of flame as they turn out through the left-hander. Still Rob Burley, whose car appears to be back to some full strength now in third place. He's trying to pull away now from Kester Cook. 5th for Thurley, 6th for Jameson. So top 6 looks pretty strong so far. There goes Jameson. And then the first of the Fiestas there, the bewinged car, I think there in number 61 is Hardy. And that's one of the back markers. So Hardy's a few seconds back, I think. 60, you look at car 191. As down the pit straight go the leaders. And James Allen, now he's in front, sets the new fastest lap of the race. 51.978 out in front in the lead. So, barely holding on in third place. Pace not quite as it was, maybe, but still got enough to hold off the cars behind him. Modified Ford Series has been a fantastic addition to the club ever since it joined in 2021, and it always brings a wonderfully varied grid of different Ford models. And there's different classes, but the one main stipulation is you can't have a car that's younger, at least to fit within the regular class structure. If it's younger than 2011, I imagine it will fit simply into the invitation class. But in general, it's simply just a case of if your car's 2011 or older, you've got various different classes based on engine sizes and forced induction or naturally aspirated and all sorts of different things. You get this wonderful mix of cars because every single Ford is different. Whether you might have 5 ST150s in the field, for example, each one could be a slightly different specification, run different tyres, different suspension. It might have a front splitter or a rear wing or different bodywork on it. That's what makes it so wonderfully unique. Speaking of which, there is the fantastically crazy Focus Estate run by AJ Howe. It's had one or two teething troubles throughout the season, but good to see it at least running. It seems to be full strength, which is good to see. There's 751 bit further back. That's Will Arif, who's a former, long-time Formula Ford racer back in the day, but good to see him still keeping his hand in this series. So 4.25 minutes left in this first of 3 modified Ford Series races. Such was the size of the entry, they've had to put them into three groups. So that those groups were decided based on so there was 2 qualifying groups, and then from those results they then picked 3 race groups. So whoever was fastest in qualifying, for example, would then get I guess overall in qualifying would get pole position. Next fastest would then get the technically pole in Group B, and then Group C pole with the next fastest person, and so on and so forth to decide it. And so each of the groups will race each other once. So this is Groups A and B, but you'll also see Groups A and C race together, and also Groups B and C race together. So each driver gets 2 races, and each group races the other 2 once. Understood all that? No? Good, let's move on. So, either way, as they come onto the pit straight now for another time. And this is the thing now with James Allen's focus. When he was chasing Neil Jessup, Jessup had the advantage. Well, there was a difference here. One was the fact that James Allen was behind Rob Burley, and Burley was the one controlling the pace. But the fact that Jessup had the clear track in front of him, he's got relatively clear track here now, but it's the power advantage on the straights as James Allen, whoa, gets very sideways. I don't think he's got four-wheel drive, but somehow does he save it? Yes, he does. Again, I have to ask the question for the second or third time this weekend. How on earth did he save that? Side by side between the two cars, and Jessup has to go off the road slightly, he runs wide. And the race lead was about to change in the blink of an eye, but first of all, James Allen has the mother of all tank snappers on the approach towards Druid, and then Neil Jessup nearly loses it himself, going wide on the outside at Graham Hill Bend. What a bizarre few moments in this race. Even so, Neil Jessup then turns his way out. That's one of the four Pumas out of it, I'm afraid. So that's couldn't quite tell you who that is, number-wise, but I'm sure it will show up on the timing screen. 2 minutes and about 15 seconds to go. And James Allen then turns his way down the hill and back up towards Druids. Thankfully drama-free this time. He's not getting incredibly sideways up there. Getting past Jimmy Neofaitu, putting a lap on the old-school Mark 1 Fiesta. See, just about everything turns up in modified Fords. And we have seen one or two, the odd more modern Mustang turn up in this series. And even, I think the first race we had with the BRSCC with modified Fords, one of the cars that turned up was Wayne Crabtree, who's also a long-time supporter of this series so far since it started. And that car, he brought a proper, fully modified Subaru-engined Ford RS200, which was absolutely magnificent. Oh, that's disappointing. I think it looks like the AJ Howe Ford Focus Estate is coming in. Yeah, it is. That's a shame. That car is great when it runs, but sadly it's a bit temperamental, which is a shame. Now then, is that a problem for Neil Jessup? Because Jessup, for a second there, really backed off. Rob Burley's car was sprung back into life, it seems. He was charging down the pit straight, and Neil Jessup at the last minute thought, hold on a minute, I'm not quite ready to lose second place just yet. So he gets back on the power, and now we've got a race. I don't know if it's just whether he was backing off to wait for him, but either way, it looked as though that Neil Jessup either missed the gear or just was a quick something cut out momentarily, and Rob Burley was straight back on him. But it seems as though whatever the issue was for Rob Burley in that early on in that race, it's going to be quite key. I've just seen someone ask on the YouTube chat, is that James Allen from Autosport? It is not. It's just someone who's got the same name. So he's going to come across the pit straight now to start the last lap of this first modified Ford race. So James Allen leads the way then. Neil Jessup second, Rob Burley third. So it'll be Focus from Mark II Escort from Escort Cosworth on the overall podium. And Kester Cook looks like he'll win his class in Super B. And other class winners looks like David Guthrie will win his class in car 61. The other class winners also looks like it'll be Littlewood in the Fiesta SE will win class C2. So and that looks to be class wins all round for those guys. But as the timer hits 0, there's Rob Lewis there in his Focus ST170 turning his way in just in front of our top 3 as they come up through Surtees into clearways for the last time. And James Allen had to be really quick to catch Neil Jessup. Was on his toes from the get-go, got the pass done, survived the mother of all tank slappers up at Druids. I'm sure Richard will talk to you about that. But before that, crossed the line, a victory for James Allen in the Focus to win race 1 of the weekend for the Modified Ford Series for Groups A and B. Second for the Zaxpeed Escort of Neil Jessup, and third for Rob Burley in the Escort WRC. They're still battling further back. That's 1 for 9-1. That's one of the 4 Pumas. That's Hardy. And that's for overall position between himself and Lloyd Jameson. I'm not sure what they put underneath the bonnet of that 4 Puma, but that's quite rapid to stay with an Escort Cosworth tarmac rally car. Kester Cook finishes 4th and wins the SB class. It's Mike Thurley 5th, Lloyd Jameson 6th, and then Hardy in 7th position rounds out the top 7, followed by the 117 of Clark. And then we've got David Guthrie wins class B+, and then it's number 16 of Baker who rounds out the top 10 finishes, Chris Baker. And so 191 was Harry Hardy, Harry in his 4 Puma, 117 being Lewis Clark in his Fiesta ST150 Mark 6. But James Allen, who's seen the series before, and whenever he's got that car working, has been quite formidable. And so that's no wonder it's quite a successful time attack car. But he always seems to enjoy coming to these more southern venues, including Brands Hatch and Silverstone. So great effort from him to get the lead after Rob Burley dropped back initially and then had that late comeback. I'm sure that Richard will talk about it later on when he gets to have a chat to him in a second. But I can just see at the top of the screen the top 3 in that race are pulling into our designated podium sitters area. So Richard will be down there to have a chat with them. But before that, I'm sure we'll get the result up in a second to confirm who was where from the first modified Ford Series race of the weekend. It's great to have them here at the festival. So here's the result then. James Allen wins in the Focus RS alongside Neil Jessup, also a class winner in second, and Rob Burley in third, recovering after earlier issues it seems in the race. Kester Cook wins his class in fourth from Mike Thurley, Lloyd Jameson, then it's Harry Hardy, Lewis Clark, a class win for David Guthrie in ninth, and Chris Baker rounds out the top 10, and of course James Allen also took the fastest lap of the race. Adam Underhill 11th, Nigel Craig 12th, Gary Johnson 13th, Steve Cripps 14th, from Will Arif, Tim Sandu, Dan Cowan, Gary Littlewood, Alex Sprange and Rob Lewis, who finishes in the top 20. And then Jimmy Neophytou, Tom Murphy and Mike Greenford. And we lost from that race AJ Howe, Rob Tinto, Jason Stone, Andy Pipe, Kevin Hadfield and John Turner. So 23 cars made the flag. We'll see some of those cars tomorrow, at least for the first race later on. Before that, let's have a chat to our overall top 3 down at the top of the pit lane on our podium with Richard John Neal.
Thanks very much, Scott. Let's see if we can grab a quick word with James, who's chatting to Neil Jessup, who we spoke to before the race. And I think they enjoyed that. It's really fascinating to see. So, James, we'll get you down by your car. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
A great win, and the restart helped you a little bit there.
Yeah, it allowed me to get behind him a little bit. But I did have a rather big moment going up towards Druids. I thought it was all over.
Is that when you were getting into the traffic?
Yeah, so I was hoping to go up the inside and the blue Fiesta moved over. So I had to move over and there was grass.
There often is.
Yeah. Oh wow, I'm surprised I kept that going the right way.
Well, congratulations on the win. For our viewers who might not have seen the car before, tell us about the car and the mods.
It's a Focus RS Mark II. It was never being modified. And now it's basically a touring car. It's phenomenal. Yeah, I love it.
And you were given a little bit of a workout there as well by Neil.
Yeah. These old boys, or not the old boys, but the older cars, they're fast.
They were designed and engineered well, weren't they, in the first place? Well done, James. Good to see you. Hopefully we'll see you a bit later in the weekend. Let's get Neil down for the second. We saw him in the car. Now we see Neil out of the car. I've got to jump up here because he's taller than me. Neil, fascinating to watch that sort of race where you've got completely different characteristics and real cat and mouse stuff.
Very different. These two are big power turbo cars, so obviously they're a lot faster down the straight. I've just got to maintain the corner speed and try and use that as my advantage.
I mean, yeah, coming down through Graham Hill Bend and up through Surtees, you were closing up, and then they just managed to stretch his legs on you a bit.
Yes, that is the trouble round here. And if you get behind a big turbo car, it's hard to overtake through the back. Get to the start, finish straight, and they're gone.
There was a blip about halfway through the race. Was that something you were conscious? We were looking at lap times, and it seemed to drop away about halfway and then come back.
It went off. It wasn't his fault.
James had a bit of a moment into Druids, and there was cars everywhere.
It was that one.
And I tried to go up the inside of him coming back down the hill, but got squeezed onto the grass. So. Did a bit of rally crossing for a minute.
Well, good to see you get second place. Well done on that. And Rod, we finally get to talk to you on the podium, and good to see that. There's a drink there for you. Intermittent problem still?
Yes, yes, very much so. As I came up behind Neil on the straight, I thought I've got you now, and then it cut out all the way round round Paddock, which is when James got past, and I had to run less boost then for the rest of the race. But 2 laps from home, when I saw him have a mistake, I thought I'll turn it up again. But it didn't like it. So we got to have a look at a few things. But it must have looked
like you enjoyed the race.
Yeah, it was. It's nice to finish. That's the main thing. And the car, we know what the glitch is now, so we got plenty of data, so we'll be able to cure it. And if it rains tomorrow, who knows?
I hope it doesn't personally, but that's just from a personal perspective, keeping joy. Rod, good to see you. Well done on the podium. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Cheers.
So Rod Burley there. What a great race that was, wasn't it? With the modified Ford Series. Absolutely great. So much great machinery to look at over the course of the weekend, and we'll grab some more of those tomorrow.